driving across the Arizona desert, a stretch of endless black road cutting through silence and heat. Midnight had already passed. I had been on the road for over 14 hours, running from something I couldn't name and towards something I hadn't yet found. My eyes were heavy. The gas tank was near empty and the GPS had stopped working 3 hours ago. Cell service was dead. There was nothing around but rocks, cacti, and darkness so thick it felt like it was crawling into the car with me. Then I saw it. A neon sign, flickering red and blue, humming like it hadn't been properly serviced in decades. Diner, it said, in tired, buzzing letters. Below it in smaller script, open 24 hours. I pulled in, gravel crunching under my tires. The place looked like it had been taken straight out of a 1950s postcard. A chrome-trimmed building with big windows, all glowing weakly from yellow interior light. A single gas pump stood beside it, the kind with the rolling numbers. I couldn't tell if it still worked. I figured I'd try after coffee. Inside it smelled like old grease, coffee grounds, and something else. Faint, like wet leaves or mildew. There was only one person behind the counter, a tall, thin man with a waxy face and eyes that seemed too wide. He didn't greet me when I entered. He just stared for a second, then turned back to cleaning the same mug over and over. A waitress stood by the booths, chewing gum, hair tied up high in a faded red bandana. Her name tag read May. She looked at me like she'd been expecting someone else. "You lost?" she asked. "Maybe," I said. "Just tired. Coffee?" She nodded. "Sit anywhere." I took a booth near the window. The desert outside was pitch black. No stars, no horizon, just a reflection of myself in the glass, looking like a ghost in a stranger's skin. May poured the coffee. "Where you headed?" "Wherever this road takes me." She didn't smile. "It don't take you anywhere you want to be." I forced a laugh. That a warning? She chewed her gum a little louder. "That's just how it is out here." The coffee was strong, bitter, like it had been on the burner since Nixon was president. I noticed then that I hadn't seen a single other customer. Not one car in the lot besides mine. No music on the jukebox, just the hum of the lights and the occasional clink of the man at the counter polishing that mug to death. Then I saw the map. It was folded and worn, left sitting on the corner of the booth like someone forgot it. I picked it up and unfolded it. The town of Dagger Hollow was... I filled up the tank. Somehow the old pump still worked, and headed back out. The road was empty, cracked, and silent. 30 miles of nothing passed in a blur. Then the fog came. Thick, wet, unnatural. It clung to the windshield, muffled the headlights. Trees appeared where there had been none. Pines, tall and skeletal. And then, just as the map said, I saw the sign. "Welcome to Dagger Hollow, Est 1836. Population? Fine." The numbers had been scratched off. The streets were lined with houses, Victorian style, all dark and shut. No lights, no movement. The fog twisted between them like smoke. My phone still had no signal, but I kept driving. Because something in me, some pull, wouldn't let me turn back. I passed a church, a school, a hardware store with mannequins in the window dressed like they were from another century. Not one person. I should have left. I should have turned around right then, but the road curved, and at the end of it, I saw the hotel. It looked alive. A 3-story building, all lit up like it was expecting guests. The sign read, "The Hollow Inn." Warm yellow light spilled from the windows. I parked, walked up the creaking porch steps, and opened the door. A bell rang. A woman stood behind the front desk, pale, with long white blonde hair and the kind of stillness you only see in statues. "Welcome," she said. "You've come a long way." I stared at her. "How did you know?" "We always know." She handed me a key. "Room 306. But I didn't. It's already paid for." My skin went cold. Still, I took the key, because something in me, deeper than logic, deeper than fear, wanted to see where this would lead. And that was my first mistake. The hallway was long and dimly lit. The wallpaper peeled at the corners. The floor creaked with every step I took. Somewhere in the distance, a grandfather clock ticked, but I never found where it was. Room 306 was at the very end. The key turned stiffly in the lock, like it hadn't been used in years. Inside, the room was spotless, too spotless. It smelled like lemon cleaner and stale air. The bed was perfectly made, the curtains drawn. On the nightstand was a glass of water, already full, and a folded note with my name on it. "Welcome back." That stopped me. Back? I'd never been here before. Or had I? Something about the room scratched at my memory. A crooked picture on the wall. A black and white photo of the diner I'd just come from. Except, in the photo, it was burned down to the frame. I turned away from it, sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress barely moved. Everything felt too clean, too cold. I turned on the TV. Only one channel played, a static-filled black and white feed of the hotel's lobby. In real time. The woman at the front desk stood motionless, staring straight into the camera. Straight at me. I turned it off. That's when I noticed the humming. A deep, low vibration coming from behind the wall, like machinery or breathing. I pressed my ear to the wallpaper. The sound grew louder, and beneath it, whispers, faint, too many voices to count. Some crying, some laughing, some just repeating the same word over and over. Stay. I left the room. The hotel lobby was empty now. The woman was gone, the lights were dimmer, dust now coated the front desk like it had been abandoned for years. Had it? I stepped outside. The fog had thickened, the town was alive, not with people but with sound. Doors creaked open and shut on their own. Church bells rang though the steeple was collapsed. Shadows moved behind curtains that hadn't stirred a moment earlier. I walked the street, not a soul in sight, but I could feel them. Eyes watching from the darkened windows, footsteps behind me, always one pace behind, but when I turned, no one was there. I passed an alley where a man stood facing the wall, muttering something in a low, broken voice. His clothes were torn, skin grey and tight across his bones. He didn't turn around. I didn't speak to him. Farther down, I found the diner again. Only this time, it was ruined, burned out. Blackened walls and broken windows. No neon sign. No waitress. No man at the counter. Inside, ash coated everything. The booths were melted, half buried in cinders. The smell of charred flesh hit me like a wave. But there, in the same booth I'd sat in earlier, a fresh cup of coffee, still steaming, and next to it the same folded map, except now more towns were circled, each one drawn in darker, shakier lines, and beneath them, scrawled in the corner, "You've been here before, you just forgot." A sound behind me, footsteps. I turned. May stood in the doorway, except it wasn't her. Her eyes were gone, hollow black sockets. Her voice came out distorted, like it was being played backward. "You should have never left the road," she said. Then she screamed. It wasn't human. I ran. Out of the diner, through the fog. Down the street, where every house seemed to lean closer now, like they were listening, like they were hungry. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. It was gone. No, not gone. Buried, half swallowed by the road itself. The tires were missing. The windshield cracked from the inside. The hood looked melted. The keys in my pocket, hot, burning hot. I dropped them. That was when I heard the chanting. Low, rhythmic, coming from all directions. I turned and saw the townspeople. They had emerged from the fog, dozens of them, pale, lifeless. Their mouths moved, but their eyes didn't blink. They chanted a name over and over. Silas, Silas, Silas. I backed away, heart pounding. One of them, a little boy with a cracked porcelain mask over his face, pointed a thin, trembling finger at me. "You brought him back," he whispered. Then the fog swallowed them all again. Silence. Except for the sound of the church bell ringing once, twice, then 13 times. I ran toward it. The church stood crooked at the edge of town. Its bell tower leaned like it was trying to fall. The front door was ajar, creaking slowly in the wind. Inside, the pews were rotting. Candles burned, though no one had lit them. A smell of mold and incense choked the air. At the altar, an old man stood, robed in black. His face was a blur. I couldn't focus on it. My mind slipped every time I tried. "You've come far," he said. His voice echoed unnaturally, but not far enough. "What is this place?" I demanded. He smiled, or maybe grimaced. "This is memory," he said. "Buried, broken, repeating." "Memory of what?" "Of you." I stepped back. "I've never been here before." "Yes, you have," the man said. "You were here when the town burned. You were here when the doors closed. You opened the gate." "I don't know what you're talking about." He reached into his robe and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. Carefully, he unfolded it. A mirror, cracked, old, but the reflection in it wasn't me. It showed a version of me with hollow eyes, blood on his hands, and a smile that didn't belong on my face. "This is who you were," the old man said, "and who you may become again." The air turned heavy, my ears rang. The church pulsed like it was alive. The man pointed the mirror at me. Images flashed. Fire, screaming, chains, ritual circles drawn in blood, and a name carved over and over into wooden floors, into flesh, into the sky itself. Silas. I fell to my knees. "No," I whispered. "That's not me. That's not..." But deep down, I knew. A long time ago, I had come to this place. A young man, angry, lost. I had stumbled into a ritual I didn't understand, and I had helped complete it. The townspeople had burned because of it, and in return, the town had been cursed, frozen in time, repeating itself, waiting for the one who started it to return. Me. "You brought the memory back with you," the man said, and now it feeds. Suddenly, I could hear them again, the voices, the chanting, the name, my name. The church windows shattered, the fog bled inside like a living thing. I ran again, out into the street. But the town was changing. Buildings twisted, streets looped back on themselves. No matter where I turned, I ended up back in front of the hotel, the Hollow Inn. Its lights pulsed now, red and flickering like a heartbeat. Room 306 was waiting. I didn't want to go back to the room. Every instinct in me screamed not to. But when I turned from the hotel, the road disappeared behind me, replaced by thick black woods and dead air. I tried every other direction, but no matter how far I ran, I always ended up standing in front of the Hollow Inn again. The town was folding in on itself, so I went back in. The front door opened before I touched it. The lobby was rotting now, paint peeling, walls weeping black fluid. The chandelier swung as if something had just passed beneath it. Room 306 waited at the top of the stairs, but something was different this time. The hallway was longer, endless. I walked for what felt like hours. The numbers on the doors began to change. 306, 307, 999, 001. Then symbols I couldn't understand. At the end, a red door, no handle, only a keyhole. And the key I still had. It turned with a sound like bones grinding. Behind the door, a staircase leading down, far down. The stairs spiraled into the dark. No lights, no sounds except my footsteps and my own breathing, getting faster with every step. The walls were lined with carvings, not words, but images. People with stitched mouths, circles made of fire, a figure with 6 arms and no face, holding a heart in one hand and a broken mirror in the other. I didn't know how long I descended. The deeper I went, the colder it got. The air grew heavy, wet. My breath came out in invisible clouds, even though there was no wind. At the bottom, a vast chamber. Candlelight flickered on the stone walls. Chains hung from the ceiling. In the center, a pit, deep black, breathing. Around it, figures knelt. They looked up as I entered. They all had my face, but twisted, deformed, burned, hollow-eyed. One was missing its jaw. Another was crying blood. Each one locked their eyes on me and said, in perfect unison, "Welcome back, Silas." I stepped back. "No, that's not my name. I'm not." "You are," they said, rising in sync. "You brought us here. You gave us the key. You let the gate open. You called it down." "What gate?" The ground trembled. And then, from the pit, something began to emerge. Not a creature, not exactly, a mass, shifting. A thing made of arms and hands and faces. It was ancient. It smelled of rotten fire. It whispered in every voice I'd ever heard in my life all at once. It knew me. It had always known me. The mirror appeared in my hand. I don't know how. One moment I was empty. The next, I was holding it. Cracked, cold. The reflection in it now flickered between me and something else. Something older. Something wrong. The voices screamed, "Break it! Don't break it! Look away! Look!" I held it up, and the creature from the pit, the gate itself, recoiled. It hated the mirror, or feared it, maybe both. Because the mirror didn't reflect what was, it showed what should have been. And in that moment, I remembered everything, what I'd done. Years ago, I'd come to Dagger Hollow chasing legends, old magic, power, a name, Silas, An ancient thing whispered in dead languages. I had joined a group that tried to summon it, to trap it, use it. It worked, but it cost the town everything. And now, it wanted me back, not to punish me, to finish what I started. The twisted versions of myself were all possibilities, lives I could have lived if I'd made worse choices. Or maybe they were real, from other Dagger Hollows repeating this same curse. I dropped the mirror into the pit. Everything stopped. Silence. Then, the loudest scream I'd ever heard. The chamber cracked, the figures vanished, the candles blew out all at once, and I fell. I woke up on the road. Not the basement, not the hotel. Just asphalt beneath my back. Stars overhead, the desert. My car was parked nearby, clean and whole. Like nothing had happened. The gas tank full. My phone had service again, bars glowing in the darkness. It was as if none of it was real, but I knew it had been. The map was still in my lap, and now every town on it was circled. The last one, Dagger Hollow, was crossed out in black. I drove. I told myself it was over. But something inside me whispered, it never ends. I passed the diner again. This time it was back to normal. Neon lights buzzing. May behind the counter, smiling like nothing had ever gone wrong. I pulled over, walked inside. Back again? She asked. You remember me? She shrugged. People like you always come back, even when they don't know it. I looked around. Same booths, same coffee smell, but this time there were other customers. A man in a trucker hat, a woman scribbling in a notebook, a little girl drawing spirals in red crayon, and all of them looked like me. Not exactly, but close enough. Too close. I sat down. May poured the coffee. Where you headed? Don't know. That's the problem, she said, chewing her gum slowly. That's why the road keeps bringing you here. I stared at the window. My reflection was gone. Night stretched on. I walked through the town again. It was frozen in time, but now it was full. People moved through it like normal, but their faces were wrong. Their eyes too still, their steps too perfect. They were echoes, ghosts, replays. I saw the church again, restored. I saw the school. I saw the hotel, glowing gold and perfect. At the town square, a man stood by a well. The same man from the church basement, the one with no face. You still have a choice, he said. Every cycle ends in one of three ways. Which are? 1. You forget. Return to the road. Live a lie until the town pulls you back. 2. You stay. Become part of the town. A caretaker. A face in the window. 3. He paused. What's the third? You finish what you began. Fully. You let the gate open. You let it in. I shook my head. I'd never. You already have, he said. That's why you're here. A door opened behind him. A mirror stood inside it. Whole now. I approached it slowly. This time, the reflection showed. All of them. The different versions of me. The angry one. The broken one. The child. The man from the pit. The smiling beast. They all looked back at me, waiting. I reached out. The mirror cracked, but didn't break. I'm on the highway now. Sunrise ahead. the desert fading behind me. I don't know which ending I chose. Maybe none, maybe all of them. The voice in my head is quieter now, but it's still there. The map is still on the passenger seat, and another town is now circled. One I don't remember visiting yet. I pass a sign. Welcome to Ashridge, Est 1855. Population, costume. I keep driving. Because maybe, just maybe, this time I'll make it through. But I don't look in the mirror. Not anymore. Ashridge was quiet. Too quiet. It looked like any other small American town. A gas station, a few old buildings, a motel with a crooked sign that read, "Sleep easy, vacancy." I parked the car, though I don't remember deciding to. The air smelled like soil after rain, but there hadn't been a storm. As I stepped out, I saw a man standing on the far side of the road, still, motionless. He was wearing a sheriff's uniform, but there was something off about him. His arms were too long, his smile too wide. He lifted one hand and waved slowly. I didn't wave back. The gas station was empty, not closed, just empty. Lights on, radio playing faint 80s music, a hot dog spinning on the roller, but not a soul in sight. I called out. No answer. I should have left, gotten back in the car, driven anywhere. But instead, I opened the door marked staff only. Why? Because part of me already knew something was waiting. Inside was a narrow hallway. At the end, a door. Rusted, with symbols burned into the metal. One of them matched the mirror I'd seen in Dagger Hollow. The moment I touched the handle, I heard it again. That name. Silas. But this time, it wasn't whispered. It was sung. I didn't open the door. I couldn't. The voice on the other side was singing in my voice. But from years ago, younger, angrier. I backed away, but the hallway had disappeared. There were only walls now, thick, breathing, covered in what looked like veins. And from them, faces began to press through the plaster, each one speaking at once. You can't run forever. You let it in. You are the gate. I screamed, punched the wall, and it cracked, not like drywall, but like bone. Blood seeped out, then hands, hundreds of them, pulling, clawing, trying to drag me through the wall and into somewhere else. I broke free, ran back into the station, and it was daylight now, bright, warm, ordinary. The clerk stood behind the counter, smiling. "You find the restroom okay?" he asked. My heart pounded in my ears. He looked at me for a moment longer, then said something I'll never forget. "You know, we get a lot of you here, people who've been through Dagger Hollow." I froze. "What did you say?" He smiled again. "Oh yeah, you're not the first. You won't be the last." That night, I stayed at the Sleep Easy Motel. The clerk was a boy no older than 16. His name tag read Trevor, but his eyes were centuries old. "You want the upstairs room," he said. "Third one on the left." "Any reason?" He smiled. "It's the only one that doesn't talk back." I didn't ask for clarification. The room smelled like mold and mothballs. The bedspread was damp. A ceiling fan clicked like a metronome. I sat on the bed and closed my eyes for what felt like a second. When I opened them, the TV was on, snowy static. Then, an image. Me, standing in front of the motel, staring at the sky, mouth open like I was screaming, but no sound came out. Then the screen changed. Footage of the diner, the church, the pit, all looping like surveillance footage from hell. Then the final image, a new town. Its sign read, "Welcome to Black Hollow. Pop 0. The power went out. I didn't sleep again. I didn't remember driving, But I arrived. Black Hollow was nothing but bones, collapsed buildings, smoke in the air, a black sky with no stars. The trees were grey as if drained, even the crows didn't move. At the town centre stood a massive stone gate, not a doorway, a monolith, covered in carvings I'd started seeing in my dreams. And at its base, the same mirror I had dropped into the pit, whole again, waiting. I approached it. My reflection stared back at me, calm, still. But the eyes were wrong, too wide, too hollow. Then it smiled. Not me, it. The thing that had been following me through every road, every diner, every empty motel hallway. It spoke without moving its mouth. You are the town now. The stone monolith began to glow. Not light, memory. It pulsed with everything I'd ever forgotten. My first night in Dagger Hollow, the circle of fire, the name Silas, spoken by my own lips, the blood, the deal. I fell to my knees, and suddenly I wasn't alone. All around me, shadows took shape, versions of myself from other cycles, other timelines, all making different choices. Some screaming, some praying, some laughing, like they understood the joke. One of them stepped forward. He looked like me, but he was already hollow. You did this, he said, but now you can finish it. What is it? I whispered. He smiled. You're the last key. When you accept it, we all go free, or we all stay forever. I stood. The diner. Same neon letters. Same hum. Same words flickering in red and blue. Open 24 hours. And this time, I didn't stop. I kept driving. But in the rearview mirror, I could still see the sign, and it never got smaller. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more dark tales every week.